I think Brian wouldn't have stayed manager of the band much longer. I think there was, Paul, I don't think ever liked that Brian was the manager. He was not too keen on Brian, and he knew he was doing a good job in certain ways, but he had different ideas, in particular if it comes to the money. And money-wise, Brian did lots of mistakes. Lots of things should have been done different. They should have earned much more money from the record company. And as soon as some, for example, Alan Klein came, he just said, boys, they're going to get this and this and this. And they said, oh, you can't do this. He said, well, okay, so they're not going to record anymore. You happy? And that's how he forced people to change those contracts, which were ridiculous. Yes, John was close to Brian, but I wouldn't say that he would have, this really meant that Brian understands what we do and he's doing the right thing. I don't think so. I think John wasn't all that happy himself. But I think Brian would have, one of the reasons I think Brian went in such a strange direction, taking all these pills and really treating himself bad, had to do that he noticed the band is somehow leaving him. Something is happening. No, I don't think so. The fact for me just was, if it was George, if it was John, or if it was Paul, they had to go their own way, you know. They couldn't stay together any longer. Ringo would have stayed with all of them any time. And he is a lovely man. I love it. And I think he is the servant, like in the Stones or Charlie Watts or something. He is the servant for the band. The other three have such strong personalities, like I said before, that it doesn't make sense to keep them together. And this was boiling on long before. I don't think John was particularly angry that Paul took over. He lost interest. He really did lose interest. And he did his best. I mean, you know how many great songs are on Abbey Road and stuff. Fantastic stuff. But it's just his stuff. And sometimes nobody else was in the studio. It was just John doing it together with Ringo, and Paul wasn't even there. So it was not the band anymore that was in the studio. Everyone did their separate piece. Well, the fact that they're able to play still as a band after all this, I think is good. I love it. I think it's fantastic. You can hear John's rhythm guitar, and you hear Ringo, you can see him play, and Paul is playing the fiddle, you know. That, I think, is great, and I think it's not a step backward to me. It's just a step, but I wouldn't say in the wrong direction. It's just letting the people know that's where we came from. I think that's valid and that's good. And you see, each production can't top the next one, so you always take something that's good. And that's what they did all the way through those 10 years of Beatles.